Where else would you rather be? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association. Welcome to the people of Penn State. Each week on the podcast, you can expect to hear the voices of Penn Staters talking about what they are passionate about, and you can expect to feel the pride and the power of the Penn State Network. The people of Penn State can be found on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Go ahead and subscribe and give us a rating. Ratings and reviews are the best way to help others find these great stories. Today, we're joined by Dr. John Just. John is a national leader in e-learning and has provided expert advice to many enterprises across the United States, including Fortune 500 companies and nonprofit firms. He's currently the Chief Learning Officer of KnowBe4, the world's largest cybersecurity awareness training organization. Dr. Just was formerly the Senior Vice President of Education Solutions for nThrive, where he led development and custom e-learning services that provide industry-leading e-learning to millions of learners. He has held positions as IT Director and Web Design Instructor at the Florida Virtual School, Instructional Design and Technology Professor at the University of Tampa, Chief Information Officer at the Pinellas County School District, and co-founder and head of school at the Pinellas Virtual School. He earned a bachelor's degree from the Pennsylvania State University and a master's degree in industrial technology from the University of South Florida. He also holds a doctorate in instructional technology and distance education from Nova Southeastern University. I'm excited to welcome Dr. John Just to the People of Penn State podcast. John, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Paul. Looking forward to it.
I am as well. You mentioned early before we went on camera, you're from Kingston, Pennsylvania. How did you become a Penn State Nittany Lion?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. I went to high school in north of Detroit. And then when I graduated, I kind of moved back with where my grandparents were from, which is the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area, and started taking classes at Penn State Scranton while I had a job there locally. And never looked back. Loved it. Really enjoyed the classes. Started at the Commonwealth School and then moved to main campus and spent a lot of time there. So really enjoyed my time, and that's how I became a Penn Stater.
As a student at Penn State, what were you involved in?
So at Penn State Scranton, I was on the soccer team. And when I moved to main campus, I helped out Coach Barry Gorman with his website at the time in the 90s, the mid 90s, when websites were brand new, with posting videos of the players and that sort of thing. So I did everything from ball boy to scoreboard operator for the soccer program. So that's mainly what I was involved with extracurricular wise.
That's amazing. You were in like early days of what has now become commonplace on the web in terms of promoting Penn State athletics, promoting our student athletes.
Yeah, if you look back, it was exciting at the time, but it's embarrassing now. Like, we were really happy to have our first like super grainy pictures and videos out on the web, and the students were excited about it as well, the student athletes. But looking back, you're like, wow, we've come a long way from 1997 to now.
Yeah. So when you came to Penn State, it seems like there was a lot of interest in athletics, a lot of interest in marrying kind of intercollegiate athletics with technology. What did you want to study, and what was your initial career goal?
Yeah, so I was sort of like a business major to start off with, and I was working in a business, and so I figured that made sense. So I sort of meandered around different classes and majors, and found science, technology, and society in the College of Liberal Arts, and really was intrigued by this interdisciplinary mixture of computer science and society classes and the impact that would take. And that was really intellectually stimulating for me. And later on, obviously, you heard from my bio, I ended up doing technology and education. And so I've been interdisciplinary ever since. And that really started at Penn State. It really started to gel for me that, hey, you don't have to necessarily pick a particular because I was so interested in different things. I was really passionate about education, and the social change we can make through education. I was also really into technology. And that's where the connection sort of came together for me about, well, you can blend some of these things and go interdisciplinary. And it's been great for my career. I'm both a technologist and an educator. I don't pick one camp. And that interdisciplinary approach has really served me well.
I once heard a teacher describe herself as an edupreneur because she was working in technology around education. So she kind of married the two industries together.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people think of, especially when they're young people, I know I did, you think of these set boxes that you can go through in your career. And for me, I pictured myself being able to do education and do it online long before it was commonplace. I remember 10 years ago in my career, I'd sit on a plane and people would go, what do you do? And I'd cringe at that question. Of course, we don't ask each other questions now. We all have headphones on. But this is back when, for those of you that are not millennials and Gen Zers, we used to have to talk to each other because we were bored and we talked to each other on planes. But people would ask me that and I'd be like, oh, here we go. Because I would say, like, I do online education. And they would go, so you teach online? And I'm like, yes, sort of. But now, of course, we all do e-learning. And so when I say, we make e-learning and we do cybersecurity, everybody kind of says, oh, I learned a lot from that, or groans. I like to think of those people as not a customer of ours currently, that, they have to do this online education constantly. So it's a big part of what they do. But that's a recent phenomenon. So, when I was in school, I was really interested in the web and web technologies, and building websites and that sort of thing. And of course, we didn't have the great college that we have now, IST, as right. All these different. There was computer science, there was computer engineering, and then there was MSIS. And I'd taken some of those classes and was interested in them, but more interested in that softer side of things. And so in being interdisciplinary, and STS and the College of Liberal Arts really let me do that and grow into it for sure.
This is the People of Penn State podcast. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined today by Dr. John Just. He is the Chief Learning Officer for KnowBe4. John, before we get into what KnowBe4 is all about, you've worked with 3 companies that were listed on the Fortune 500's fastest growing. Talk a little bit about those experiences.
Yeah, so after graduation, I moved to the Tampa Bay area, and mainly because if I wanted to buy a house in DC or some of the places I was going to be recruited, I'd have to live with like 4 other guys, like college days. So it was cheaper to move down here. I had some relatives that had moved down here, but fortunate enough to land a couple of really good positions as a director of IT at a very fast growing company that got listed on the Fortune 500. So amazing experiences, opening up new offices, setting up equipment, that sort of thing, tying together networks. And then later in e-learning, I was able to join an organization that was again listed as the Fortune 500 fastest growing in America. And so this is my 3rd organization at KnowBe4 that has been on that list. So I love fast-paced growth environments. And I like to say I got light years of experience because it wasn't just, sitting around, maintaining something. We were growing as businesses. So I was really drawn to and excited by that growth.
John, compare and contrast those 2 worlds, right? The for-profit Fortune 500 contrasted with the education experience that you had with Pinellas County or at the Pinellas Virtual School.
Yeah, I mean, so it moves faster in the world of private sector. Because of the fact that we're very driven by revenue, it makes things move at a pace that I'm probably more comfortable with. I enjoyed the service part of what I did at Pinellas County Schools and being able to serve the community. And I love that. And I do get to do that to an extent when I'm educating people about cybersecurity these days. I feel like that service component is an important part for me. And it's great to recruit people and tell them, hey, you could work anywhere, but you could come here and make a difference. And I think those were the positive things about the public school system. Pinellas County Schools is a very large school district, 156 some schools. It's not like Pennsylvania school districts that are really small, 100,000 students. So a really large entity to sort of manage the technology for. I really enjoyed the passion of the people in Pinellas County Schools. They still follow me. I keep in touch with a lot of them, and they do a terrific job for our students here in the Tampa Bay area. But obviously, there's a lot of differences. I like to be that edupreneur. I love that word that you said someone else mentioned. And so trying to do that, launching the Pinellas Virtual School, that was a little bit of being entrepreneurial within that public space. But I eventually made the move back to private just because I wanted to do that more and more. I wanted to be more and more innovative and be in a more fast-paced environment.
Yeah, it's interesting. School districts in Pennsylvania are organized around the city or the town that they're in, right? It's regional, where in Florida and other places, it's countywide.
Yeah, it's countywide and big counties and really, really densely populated ones as well.
Yeah. So let's dive into the current company you're with. What is KnowBe4, and what does your day-to-day look like as the Chief Learning Officer?
Yeah, so KnowBe4, we help people manage the ongoing problem of social engineering. And so what is social engineering? That is the way hackers actually hack these days. A lot of people think it's like the movies where they're attacking systems, but in fact, they're most often attacking people. And because they're attacking people, the best way to prevent that from happening is to educate those people. So what we have is a simulated phishing platform where we pretend to be those bad actors, and we send out phishing tests to you, which phishing is emails that are sent that are meant to look like something that is urgent that you need to take action on. And then you click on those or give them your password, and the hackers then compromise your systems. And so we send out those pretending to be those bad actors to sort of give you a sample of what that might look like and educate. And then we also provide education on an ongoing basis. So my day-to-day is I lead the team that actually creates all of those education components. So we're a global team. We have offices all over the world, and we work together to sort of create this global set of content, a huge library of content that you can then train those employees with what to be careful about, what the latest threats are, what is coming down the pipe, and what you can be, what you can report to your IT department if you see, and actually become part of what we call the 8th layer. So there are 7 layers in the technology stack, and they're all technology related, but the 8th layer is going to be humans. And so you could be part of this human firewall that helps protect your organization. So one person reporting one of these phishing attacks, for instance, again, the most common attack vector, could save the company, could be the one that actually, is the one that IT identifies that, is able to pull it out of other people's mailboxes and prevent other people from clicking. So really to empower them to be able to be part of that human firewall and protect the organization.
So I am either constantly spoofed or a target of these things. So when I say spoofed, people will get emails from me, or they appear like they're from me, asking them to do all kinds of crazy things, like go out and buy Xbox gift cards and and things of that nature. I remember the early days of the old like Nigerian prince emails, right? Some of those though seem so obvious that that people would just immediately know that those are phishing. What are some of the common examples of phishing attacks that people should be aware of, and how do they get through beyond the obvious ones like the ones I've mentioned?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned they're obvious, but somebody was falling for those. That's why people were continuing to do them. And so, I mean, they're getting more and more sophisticated. And some of the common examples that we see all the time are a LinkedIn request for instance, or an Instagram request, where they're sending you something to your email saying, oh, if you don't enter your password and validate this, then your account is going to be suspended. And so once you do that and give them your password, then they can access it. So they direct you to a site that often looks like it's LinkedIn or looks like it's Instagram. They make it look like that. If you inspect the URL or the Uniform Resource Locator, which is that domain at the top in the address bar, it probably is some misspelling or some slight difference between the actual LinkedIn. And so they send you there, you put your password in, and then all of a sudden now the bad actors actually have your password. So they can enter into your LinkedIn, take it over, ransom it, get information from it. And ransom it means taking it over and trying to sell it back to you,
Right.
or requiring that you pay something in Bitcoin or something like that to get it back. So that's a very common one. Changing your password. They'll often do this to your corporate email, because they're wanting to necessarily get into your email. You might say, well, why would they care about my business email? Well, now all of a sudden they're in. And so now they can email other people. They can maybe email accounting, and they can email other people. We had one instance that was reported to us of a legal firm that was in negotiations with another legal firm. And they had agreed on $1 million settlement, flat $1 million settlement. And then all of a sudden, the tone of the email changed. And they were saying, well, we need to get the money transferred by tomorrow. Some urgency was there. The writing was a little different. And then what had happened was, so the lawyer on the one end picked up the phone because they had done our training, and they were like, this seems odd. And some red flags are here. Called the other attorney and said, that's weird. I've been trying to get into my email all day. Someone changed my password and locked me out. So the bad actor was actually there the whole time watching this conversation, decided once the settlement was done to hop in, lock the other person out. So many stories like that.
Sure.
Really secure your bank information. Never do what you just heard. Gift cards are a big scam. Never do anything. People are requesting gift cards. That's a red flag. Pick up the phone, call the person and say, are you actually looking for this, or is this something you want me to do? Because oftentimes that's a scam.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A number of times where it's happened to me, I've been standing right next to the person who was either emailing me or I had supposedly emailed them. We've gotten really good at taking a look at the actual email addresses that these are coming from. So talk a little bit more about how you're making an impact through the education on cybersecurity.
Yeah, I mean, I love our mission. I love the fact that we get to educate people and help them, not only their organizations, which we have amazing organizations, including nonprofits, that a lot of university systems, a lot of brand names in terms of philanthropic organizations that are using. So we're protecting them from these bad actors, and we're educating them to not fall for these tricks. And there's more than just phishing. We're educating them on making sure their passwords are complex enough that they're enabling what we call multi-factor authentication on important things. And anybody could be a victim. I've heard stories from students who had their financial aid stolen. So that's a big impact on them. A lot of people think they can't be a target because they're going after CEOs and CFOs and these people that have a lot of money. But they could do that just as easily to 10 people and get 5,000 from each of them or 3,000 from each of them as they can these high value targets. Right. So I love our mission that we're educating people. We're doing outreach. We're doing it in a cool and creative way. Behind me is our season 4 poster for The Inside Man, which is a series we created. It's a Netflix style series. And actually we have the premiere for season 5 going on in London next month at the Odeon Theater which is where they do a lot of major premieres. And we have about 400 people signed up so far to come. We're hoping to get about 500 to this exclusive premiere where it's a series that kind of shows you what it's like to be a hacker and a social engineer specifically, tricking people and getting them engaged in learning about this. So it's a Netflix style series to sort of learn about that. And again, that's interdisciplinary. So we have to know the IT and the cybersecurity, but we also have to do things in terms of video production and education. And we pull from all of those to create an amazing end product that really is engaging and interesting for our learners.
That's amazing. John, you're down in Florida now.
Yes.
And you mentioned earlier, at least off camera, you mentioned that you're now the parent of a Penn Stater. Talk about how you and your family remain connected to Penn State.
Yeah. So a funny story about that is my son, when he was growing up, the Florida Gators were pretty big down here, obviously, in the state of Florida. And Tim Tebow was there, and they were having all kinds of success. And my son, when he was young, would come to me and say, "Dad, I think I'm a Florida Gator fan." And I just said, "Okay, all right." And then I took him to one game at Beaver Stadium, I think when he was about 10 years old. And ever since then, he's been a bigger fan than me. He gets more fired up over things than I do. So when we were looking at colleges, I said, this was my experience. I never thought, if you would have told me he would follow in my footsteps, and specifically he would go to Penn State Scranton, which he's doing now, and then start at a Commonwealth campus. But it was just the right fit for him. It's great to have the great resources of Penn State and to have that small campus experience. We still have some family up there. So when we toured a lot of options, this was just the one that stuck out for him as the best option. And, he was very excited to be a part of Nittany Nation and everything that it could provide. He's seen what it's done for me and the doors it's opened for me. And so he was, I never would have thought that he would have followed in my footsteps, but he's there on the soccer team. So the apple does not fall far from the tree. And he's looking forward to, he's in his first year, freshman year challenges, as you might imagine. Right. I subscribe to the parent newsletter, and there's a lot of timely things in there. If you're a parent of a Penn Stater and you don't do that, I highly recommend doing and reading that, because it's a lot of things you need to work through, and they need to learn for themselves a lot of these things. But I'm really proud of him, really excited he was able to have that experience. It was a great experience for me, and he's really enjoying it, and I think learning a lot from it as well.
That's awesome. I too am a parent of a first-year student, and some bumps along the way, but they somehow figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, I think, right? Is showing that resilience and showing that you can learn from that experience and do sort of the basics, especially that freshman year. It's like a survive and advance.
Exactly.
Sort of year. Yeah.
This is the People of Penn State. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined by Dr. John Just. He is the Chief Learning Officer at KnowBe4. So, John, we like to have a little bit of fun here at the end of the podcast. We call it our lightning round. I'll just throw a couple quick hitter questions at you and hear what your thoughts are. How about your favorite class at Penn State?
It would have to be STS 200, Science, Technology, and Society, which is like a basic level class for STS. It was a discussion-based class. It really was what got me to change my major to STS. Really enjoyed a broad range of topics. Really exciting class. Still remember it.
So if you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be and why?
Yeah, so many people. But I think after Martin Luther King Day recently, every year I kind of go back and look at some of his speeches, and they're so inspiring, and I end up fired up. So I probably would love to have dinner with Martin Luther King Jr., and have him fire me up and get me all impassioned and excited.
How about the most unusual "we are" moment? Either an unusual or unexpected place where you heard "we are" or you yelled "we are" to someone else?
So funny story. My wife and I were in Rome for the Super Bowl a number of years ago. And we're looking for some place to watch the Super Bowl. And people kept telling us, "Oh, go to the Hard Rock." I'm like, I'm not going to the Hard Rock in Rome. So we ended up in an English pub in Piazza Navona, which happens to be the Penn State bar in in Rome. So we walk in, and all in the corner, there's all these Penn State flags and all that sort of thing. And I, of course, walk in and yell, "We are!" And they yell back, "Penn State." There's a whole load of them in the corner. So it's definitely a worldwide network. I have a number of stories like that, but that's my best one.
That's awesome. How about your favorite Penn State sport?
I love all the sports. I mean, our basketball team is when I was there, the Crispin brothers were making their run, and it was a great time. We were rushing the court a couple of times, and I love the football team, volleyball, wrestling, but I'm gonna have to go with soccer given my connections to the program.
Excellent. And finally, your favorite flavor of creamery ice cream?
Butter pecan. Yes, definitely the best. Yeah. Every time I come back, I like to make at least 2 trips. I'm a little heavier every time.
Well, hey, John, we appreciate you joining us on the People of Penn State podcast. It's alumni like you who allow us to share your story that elevates the value of all of the Penn State degrees out there. And so we're truly grateful for you allowing us to share your story.
Thanks, Paul. It was really a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
I want to thank our producer, Vincent Longaro, as well for all he does behind the scenes. If you like this episode, I hope that you'll subscribe to the People of Penn State podcast in your favorite podcast app of choice. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a rating, drop us a review, help us spread the word about all the great stories that we're sharing here on the People of Penn State. If you're a member of the Alumni Association, thank you so much for your support. If you're not a member, what are you waiting for? Go to our website at alumni.psu.edu, and you too can become a member of the world's largest alumni association. Thank you for tuning in and for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are